Sports presents Benning Bites with Damon Benning. Benning Bites with Damon Benning.
Hey guys, back for another Benning's Bites. I was out last night after practice, and we were talking. Some of our staff were talking about playing style and types of play and things like that. And a couple of the guys like to give me a hard time about Nebraska, and so they were thinking to themselves, I hear that, everybody was saying over the weekend that Michigan's a style that Nebraska should try to emulate. And I was just thinking to myself, okay, this is a team that recruits top 3 in the conference. I start going through all these things in my head: Jim Harbaugh, the recruiting process, the development, him swapping out coordinators. Is that a style? What was Michigan's style on Saturday? It was a lot of gap scheme, a lot of pin and pull. Running backs kind of looked the same. McCarthy looked more than serviceable. Wasn't super accurate. I thought Nebraska's secondary played pretty well. But what was the style that some of the media and the fan base were wanting Nebraska to gravitate towards? I was having a hard time putting into words what that was. So I'm curious to get feedback from you folks. What was that style? And is that something that you think Nebraska can replicate? Was it the athleticism up front, the offensive line play? Because I think we would want that in any particular team Nebraska plays against. And it got me thinking, if there was a team in the West whose style we could replicate, because I've heard it a lot this week. Oh, the Wisconsin, the Nebraska of the North, and this, that, and the other with Alvarez, and long documented. We know the narrative. But is Wisconsin the style that Nebraska fans would want to emulate in the West? Is it Iowa? Is it that defense and special teams and commitment to running the ball? Is it Minnesota with the RPO game and the offensive line play and the physicality in which they play on defense? Is it Illinois with the gap scheme running the football and their RPO passing game, which sounds a little bit like Minnesota? Is there a style of play that you think the fan base could arrive at in terms of, yep, that's what I want to do to be able to compete and contend in the Big Ten? Because that has to be at the front part of the lobe when you're talking about coaching searches and what style of offense you'd like to play. Are we off base? Was Michigan too far of a reach? Is it Wisconsin? Is it Iowa? Is it somebody else? Are we missing something? Just food for thoughts, or should I say just bites for thoughts, Benning's Bites. I don't have a great answer. I'm thinking out loud. So you guys can get at me at Damon Benning. The DMs are open. However you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, you guys do you. Make sure you subscribe. Just what would you ask me if we were out there on the corner and you're like, gosh, what are my thoughts? I'm like, hey, let me give you a bite, a nibble, a morsel. It's Benning Bites.